What's going on, everybody? Welcome to this edition of Gin and Tonic. I'm your host, as always, John J. II, and we got a very special topic for you today. Jon Gruden. Let's talk about Jon Gruden. So, as everyone knows, you can notice by the hat, we're talking about the Las Vegas Raiders, previously the Oakland Raiders, and even previously before that, the Los Angeles Raiders. He has quickly and very suddenly resigned from the Las Vegas Raiders franchise as the head coach. It's pretty much old news at this point. But what I want to do today is dive a little bit deeper into that scandal and let you guys know what we know and how I feel about it personally. And we're going to read from an article on CBSSports.com. We're just going to kind of get the facts out there and see where we want to go with it from there. So let's start the article. So, the NFL saw one of its most well-known personalities step down this week, with Raiders coach Jon Gruden quickly resigning in the wake of reports about a pattern of insensitive and derogatory emails. But Gruden's departure stemmed largely from an investigation that had nothing to do with him. What exactly was the original investigation? This is what they don't really tell you on the news. And could there be more dominoes to fall? So here's everything they know, and there's a lot of people investigating this. The NFL is even investigating this entire thing, so it seems like a big deal, larger than just Jon Gruden, as far as people involved. So how did this scandal originate? In July 2020, amid Washington football team's announcement that it would drop its original nickname after 87 years, the Washington Post published a bombshell report with 15 former female employees alleging sexual harassment by team staff over the course of 18 years. Team owner Daniel Snyder launched an investigation into his franchise's workplace culture before the NFL took over in August. That same month, the Post published a follow-up report with former employees alleging Snyder has presided over an organization in which women say they have been marginalized, discriminated against, and exploited. So let's just kind of step back a little bit. So it looks like this Daniel Snyder guy, he launched the investigation, and then once he launched it, he was under fire. So this is in July of 2020 once they dropped the name. That was a scandal in and of itself. Having that name dropped after being the name of the Washington football team, the current Washington football team, they were the Washington Redskins. I'll say it on here publicly for educational purposes. The Washington Redskins, they were called that for 87 years. Now you're a social pariah if you call them that. Kind of unfortunate. I think that's something that is rooted within NFL culture, and it goes well beyond the roots of whatever you might be able to take away from it that is derogatory or seen as offensive. I don't think that it was really that offensive if it was there and present for 87 years, right? It's almost a century, right? So I don't know if our feelings just started getting hurt a lot easier, but it seems like that's the case. Let's move on with the article. Was Washington punished? Yes. This July, almost a year after beginning its investigation with the help of independent lawyer Beth Wilkinson, the NFL levied a $10 million fine against Washington after finding a highly unprofessional work environment, particularly for women. Snyder, meanwhile, formally stepped back from day-to-day duties as team owner, with his wife Tanya taking over as CEO. So Snyder kind of wanted to save face. He wanted to save face a little bit, so he let his wife take over as CEO. Probably a solid move. So where does Jon Gruden fit in? Let's talk about Jon Gruden. This is what this Gin and Tonic's about. On October 8th, the Wall Street Journal reported that the NFL's investigation into Washington's culture included the examination of more than 650,000 emails from team staff. Among those emails were exchanges between Gruden and Bruce Allen, then Washington's team president and a longtime confidant of Daniel Snyder, obviously the CEO of the franchise of Washington. One of which saw Gruden use a racial trope to criticize NFLPA executive DeMaurice Smith. On October 11th, the New York Times reported that the emails revealed that Gruden had actually engaged in a pattern of misogynistic and homophobic language from 2010 to 2018, criticizing everything from the idea of gay players and female officials and exchanging pictures of topless women that happened to be Washington cheerleaders. Gruden subsequently resigned, prematurely bowing out of a 10-year contract with the Raiders and essentially becoming collateral damage from leaks of the Washington investigation. And then it asks, is there more dominoes to fall? It says perhaps. There's a lot of attorneys, a lot of spokespeople, and a lot of investigators working on this case. It's obviously a big deal, and they're not taking it lightly. They're taking it very seriously, it seems like. So now let's talk about Jon Gruden. Can we rationalize anything that he did? I think the only thing that we can rationalize is the fact that he came out and apologized publicly for what happened. Now, did he apologize for the fact that he did it? That's a different question that we'll have to rewatch the tapes and decide for ourselves. But I think something we should take away from this is, especially if you're a public figure like Jon Gruden, head coach, Las Vegas Raiders, you got to be careful about what you're saying, especially if there's investigations going on, hard drives are being swept. You got to be careful what you have out there. Careful what you say over email. Now, the difference between locker room talk and saying things over email is there's a paper trail with email. So whether or not, and I don't think, honest to God, I don't think Jon Gruden's a racist guy. Obviously, you'll ask the next guy and they'll be able to answer for themselves. Just looking at it very objectively, he has a lot of players on his team, or did have players on his team that were black and different races. He's not a racist. I mean, we can make that a very, very true point. We can make that a very accurate estimate that he's not a racist, right? So it doesn't really say in here that he is a racist, though. It's basically the misogynistic and homophobic language. Also, social pariah. Can't do it, right? Just stay away from it. There's no reason to, engage in that type of discussion. Even if it's lighthearted, even if it's jokingly, being in the position you're in, it's just not a good look, basically, okay? And this caused him to resign from the head coaching job. Now, I know for a fact that he knew about these emails. It was going on since 2010 until 2018. This isn't even a recent thing. The sweep really isn't a recent thing. So the fact that he got caught, I think that he's more mad that he got caught than he did it. But like I said, it's a lot of lighthearted talk. Is it justified? No, of course not. But I don't think he's really genuine in these feelings. And it's just kind of sad to see him go down like this. Because I got to think he didn't want to, stop with the Raiders and just, bow out of that 10-year deal. We were just talking about Gruden, I feel like, on a past Gin and Tonic. Just about how the Raiders have been finding a little bit of a rough patch. Now they're going to have even more of a rough patch to overcome with this resignation from Jon Gruden. So I wish the Raiders and the entire franchise all the best. We'll see what the next steps are for Gruden. We'll see what else comes out of this investigation, but just really sad and really unfortunate for everybody involved. So we'll see how it pans out, but it's not looking too good right now. But yeah, we'll see what happens. All right, guys, make sure to stay tuned to our social media for all updates regarding Gin Promotions and the Gin Sports Network. Also, stay tuned for merchandise coming out. Shirts, sweatshirts, you name it, it's coming out. And also, look out for events coming up. Dates are being solidified for the Disc Golf Tournament and the Turkey Bowl coming up and out in late November. So stay tuned for all of that. And I'll be in touch with you guys very shortly. But for now, I'm your host, as always, Jon J. II with Gin Sports Network. Have a great night.